everybody, Enderheart here with another wait, what? This ain't no Gravity Falls, this is Steven Universe, my second favorite show in the entire universe of TV shows. Now, this is my personal fanfiction. If you guys want me to do more Steven fanfictions, leave a comment below. But today we will be reading Everlasting Quartz, one of my Steven fanfictions, the only Steven fanfiction, except the one that I had a dream of, but that didn't count. This took me almost about 3 weeks to come up with a story and make, mainly because I didn't work on it for a week, but that is alright. It is done, it is over with, and it is badass. So, let's get right onto it. Welcome to Storytimes, by the way, I forgot. Now my phone is ringing. That's Hangouts, not my actual phone. But, everyone heard my phone ringtone, and last it is Steven! If I could get it up, I will show you guys. I gotta comment on another video. But, while I'm getting my ringtone up, let's read the description. Everlasting Quartz. Steven overhears the gems talking about him after the previous mission. Don't ask me again. After the previous mission about how they were deciding to keep him away from missions for a while. Disagreeing with the idea, Steven takes Connie and decides to run away and see what life is like out on the open road without any gems pestering him. Warning, God as hell almighty feels. Now, I've read this multiple times to know that I will positively not cry. I hope. But God, for God's sakes, it's so sad. Oh, and by the way, I have a special ending on my phone that you can only see through this video. It's not even on the Wattpad. It's stories on Wattpad. So it's not even on the fanfiction on Wattpad. The ending that I'm going to show you. It's a super special ending, only viewable to you guys through this video. And here's my ringtone. Yeah, so forth. Yep, it's my Steven ringtone. Okay. Steven X Connie included. If you are not a fan of the canon ship, I suggest clicking away from this video. But like before you go. Nah, you don't have to. Notification. This story was originally made for my YouTube channel, but was posted about 3 days early. Enjoy this fanfiction. That is true. I posted this 3 days early. There's already a lot of reviews on it. So, alternate ending only viewable by watching the video. I posted there. Okay, let's get started with chapter 1. I bet you all are excited about this. I'm really excited. Introduction. Steven said, okay, I cannot do freaking, I'm gonna do the cheeriest little boy voice that I have. How about this for Steven? I'm Steven Universe. I can't do Steven. Okay, Connie's just gonna be like my normal voice. Because, you know, Connie kind of sounds like me, personally. Okay, Steven silently stood on the porch of his house, overlooking the ocean as the sun was going down, making the water glisten. He was covered in bruises, cuts, and continuous scrapes, along with a bandage wrapped around his right arm, and the injuries were caused from the last dangerous mission he and the gems had gone on. He sighed sadly and looked back through the window, lying on a blanket was Pearl's gem. He turned back around and continued watching the sunset. I couldn't do it. He whispered to himself. I can't do what you did. He whispered to himself, looking at his hand. A few tears slipped out of his eyes as he closed them. I couldn't protect them like you could. I couldn't even draw out my shield. He said to himself, clenching his fist as more tears came out of his eyes. He took a deep breath before looking up again, out over the ocean. He sat there silently, watching the sun go down until the sky was dark. The wind started to blow, and it got more vicious by the moment, until it was raining. Stephen heard the warp pad activate, then a familiar voice called out to him as the screen door opened. Yo, Stephen! It's getting pretty stormy out there. Amethyst said. Amethyst! 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 Said, walking up to him. Yeah. Stephen whispered silently. Amethyst noticed his tone. Hey, did that mission get you down in the dumps? Don't worry, kiddo. Remember, our bodies just regenerate. Amethyst said, nudging him. I know. It's just... I could have... Stephen said as a few more tears came out of his eyes. I could have protected you guys. You got poofed too. Garnet had to save me. I couldn't even draw out my shield. I couldn't even bubble us. He said, tears streaming out of his eyes. Amethyst paused for a moment, trying to think of what to say. My gem just stopped working. I can't heal, bubble, or draw out my shield. I'm back right where I started. He said, flipping his hood over his forehead, trying to hide his face. Hey, Stephen. It's okay. It's not that bad. We will just have to try and get it working again, Amethyst encouraged, putting an arm on his shoulder. Stephen paused for a moment before hugging Amethyst. I just want to protect you guys. What if she crushed your gems? He said before Amethyst hugged him back. I know. It was probably really scary for you. She almost got Pearl's gem, but you risked a lot to go and grab it. You fought her for it. Don't worry, Peridot isn't a match for all four of us. I'm sure it's fine, she said, smiling. Stephen wiped away his tears. Thanks, Amethyst. I needed that, he said, yawning. Now, come on, kiddo. You look tired. Let's get to bed, Amethyst said, putting Stephen on her shoulders and running into the house, the both of them giggling. So, how do you guys like it so far? Put, hashtag chapter 1 everlasting quartz in the description and tell me how. Each chapter, hashtag chapter 1, hashtag chapter 2, hashtag chapter 3, hashtag etc. Whatever. Okay, continue reading. The news. Dun, dun, dun. 3 days later. Yep, that's pretty much everything that happened. Stephen said, glancing over at Connie, who was next to him. Wow, that was a lot to take in. Are you okay? You got pretty beat up from that, what it sounds like, Connie said, concerned in her voice as they neared the donut shop. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a few cuts and scrapes, he said, reassuring Connie that he felt okay. What about your arm? She said, pointing to the bandage. Oh, yeah. That was because I couldn't summon my shield. Garnet helped me put it on, he said, fiddling with it. Still a bit loose, though, he said as Connie opened the door and they both walked in. Well, I could help you with that later if you wanted, she said, smiling. Sadie looked up from the money she was counting as the bell rang of the door opening. Hey, Sadie. Hi, guys, she said. That was not Sadie, but I don't care. I can't do Sadie, she said, looking in Stephen's direction. What happened to you? She asked as Stephen slightly smiled. Just some battle scars, he said. Ah, I see. Was this one as dangerous by getting hit by a rock? Sadie said, teasing him. Yeah, I almost died. Scroll down. Peridot found us when we were out on a mission, and she had a bunch of these weird gem laser things. We barely made it out alive, Stephen said as his voice got lower and ended up in a whisper. Sadie sat there stunned. But everything's fine now, right? Connie said, smiling nervously. Stephen shrugged. Well then, what do you guys want today? Sadie said, shaking off her shock. Two donuts, please, Connie said. Lars came out of the back room, headphones on. Lars, hey. Hold on. Hey. Hey. I can't do freaking Lars. Hey, Sadie. Hey, Sadie, we're out of, he said, then glancing at Steven. Napkins. Back there. Lars said, looking back at Sadie. Just open another box of them, Sadie said, getting out 2 donuts. Okay, he said, slowly walking back into the room, glancing at Steven before he shut the door. Laughter could be heard coming from the back room after the door was shut. Sadie rolled her eyes and handed them the back. I'm sorry about that, Steven. Lars can be like that, she said. It's okay. It's okay, he said, slightly smiling. Connie and Steven walked out of the shop and sat down at one of the tables outside. So, how come you couldn't summon your shield? Connie asked as Steven opened the bag of donuts, handing Connie one. I don't exactly know, but my gem won't even work anymore, he said, taking a bite of the donut. Really? Connie said, surprised. Yeah, I don't think I can be a crystal gem, Steven said, staring at the donut in his hands. That's nonsense, Steven. You'll always be a crystal gem. Lost my place. Even if your powers don't work, Connie reassured. Steven smiled, finishing his donut. You're right, Steven said, standing up. I'm sure your gem is just having a reaction to your body or something. There's nothing to worry about it. It will probably work again soon, Connie pressed. Steven nodded. Suddenly, his gem started to glow through his t-shirt. Whoa! Steven said excitedly, lifting up his shirt. One of Steven's bubbles formed around him and Connie, breaking the table as the gem faded. Yeah! Steven! Why'd you do that? Click. Lost my place. There we go. Connie asked, glancing back at the table. I didn't even feel it, Steven stuttered, pushing on the bubble. It won't pop, he said, pushing harder. Well, what popped it last time? Connie said, looking around. It burst onto the ocean, Steven said, kicking the bubble. Yeah, I don't want to do that again. Okay, theory-wise, Connie cannot swim very well. Or hold her breath for very long. Yeah, I'll just try to pop it, he said, forcing on the edge of the bubble. He stared directly at it in silence, squinting his eyes. Connie stared at the spot he was watching for about 5 minutes. I don't think it's working, she said to him. Steven sighed and started to roll the bubble. Lost my place again. Starting to roll the bubble in the direction of the temple. Come on, it's best we get out of here. I think Sadie and Lars are going to notice, he said as Connie helped roll the bubble. Yeah, when did you get so aware of things? You seem a lot more serious than usual, Connie said, a bit concerned in her voice. I can't wait for the ending of this, Steven said as his eyes widened a bit, realizing that he was indeed not acting like himself. I don't know. It's just been really hard, I guess. I'm just not in the cheerful mood I usually am in, he said, looking more to himself than Connie. She paused for a moment. They arrived on the beach, but the hill being too steep to roll it up, like usual. Steven sighed and leaned against the side of the bubble. Connie kept quiet for a while until she eventually broke the silence. So, how's your training going? You know, for your shield and stuff, Connie said. Steven hesitated a bit before answering the question. I got better, but I kind of failed the last practice, he said, looking down into his gem. Your gem? Connie asked. No, I missed an important key, And I got hit, he said, poking his gem. Oh, Connie said. Stephen sighed heavily. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not going to be able to protect anything, he said sadly, leaning on the back of the bubble. Just then it popped and fell to the sand. Hey, you did it, Connie said, helping him up. I did? He said, looking around, seeing that they weren't in the bubble anymore. Yeah, I think you're regaining control of your gem, Connie said excitedly. Yeah, I'm going to go tell the gems, Stephen said excitedly. Connie giggled. All right, I'll wait out here, she said, smiling. Stephen chuckled and darted up the steps to the house. His hand reached for the screen door when he heard voices. He quietly peeked his head through the door and saw Garnet, Amethyst, and a newly formed Pearl sitting on the couch, not noticing Stephen. Pearl's back already? He thought excitedly. Then she spoke. Pearl. But we can't take him on missions anymore. It's way too dangerous. He's better off staying here until his gem, works again, she said. Yeah, I have to agree, Amethyst said. Garnet. Okay, straight voice. We can't throw him off missions. He wasn't feeling very good yesterday because his gem stopped working. He was thrown off in fear of saving your gem, Pearl. He didn't believe that he could, which was possibly the reason why his gem stopped working, Garnet said. That was hard! I have emotion to my voices, unlike Garnet over here. Okay. It was no doubt they were talking about Stephen. Maybe, since he's more human than gem, when he gets older, his gem might stop working? Amethyst said as the room went quiet. Nonsense, Amethyst! Nonsense, Amethyst! Nonsense, Amethyst! It wasn't working when he was littler. It would start working as soon as he got older, and then wouldn't stop working. I'm going with what Garnet said, Pearl entrusted. Amethyst shrugged. Okay, but telling him this is going to break his heart, Amethyst said, looking down sadly. It's for his own good, Amethyst. We want to keep him safe. There's many ways he could die out on missions without having any way to protect himself. Even if his gem won't work for a year, we have to keep him safe, Pearl said. Rose never had any problems with her gem, Amethyst mumbled under her breath. The room went silent as Garnet and Pearl stared at Amethyst. Garnet nodded. But Rose is only part of him, and he is more Stephen than Rose, Garnet said. Why did she have to fall in love with Greg? Why did she have to leave us with him? Pearl said, a bit frustrated. Oh, okay, can't cry. Feel no emotion. I am blank. I am Garnet. Someone make a gif of Lily freaking yelling her face off that she's Garnet. I am Garnet! I am calm. I am straight. I am perfectly fine. Pearl said, a bit frustrated. Tears slowly started to stream down Stephen's face as he watched the gems. But Stephen is Stephen. No matter how small. Sorry. But Stephen is Stephen, and we can't change that, Garnet said. Stephen quickly removed his head from the screen door and leaned on the wall, more tears coming out of his eyes. They never wanted me here, and they're just going to keep me in the temple for the rest of my life, Stephen thought as more tears made his way onto his shirt. Fine. They don't want me here. I'll just go, he mumbled to himself through his tears. He walked back down to the beach where Connie was sitting, watching the ocean waves as they splashed on the beach. She spotted Stephen running over to her and got up and walked towards him. Hey, Stephen! How did... she said, looking at Stephen's face as it was glistened with tears. What happened? She asked, concerned. I didn't tell them. I heard what they were saying about me, Stephen said as he sat down in the stand. Connie sat down next to him. What were they saying? Connie questioned curiously. They're gonna ban me from going on missions. They don't believe I will ever get my gem working. They were even talking about Mom. They were saying how they wished she was here instead of me. He said as more tears poured down his face, and Connie put an arm on his shoulder. They didn't actually say that, did they? Connie asked. She asked, trying to be as comfortable as possible. No, that's what it felt like, he said sadly. They both fell silent. The only thing he could hear was a soft roar of blue waves crashing onto the sandy beach. I think we should leave, Stephen mumbled under his breath after a while. What? You can't just leave! What about the gems? What about me? Connie said, startled at these new thoughts that had suddenly came into cheerful little Stephen's mind. Gems don't want me here anyway, he said, looking back at the temple, then looking back at Connie. She had a frightened look on her face that made Stephen feel unhappy. Connie, he whispered. Connie fell silent. Stephen thought for a moment. Come with me, he said, looking back up into her eyes. What? She stuttered. We can run away. We can get away from Beach City. And it'll be like a vacation, you know. I know you've been really stressed out at home, so I think it would be best. Just me and you. No one else. No gems, no parents. Just me and you, Stephen said as a bit of blush formed on his and Connie's face. The area fell silent again, Connie becoming unresponsive. Yes! She yelled happily. That was a horrible yes. Freaking like Princess Bubblegum style yes. She yelled happily, hugging Stephen tightly. We leave tonight. Meet me over there, he said, pointing to a spot by the cliff. The place we met? Connie asked. Stephen nodded. They high-fived and ran into different directions. Hashtag Chapter 2! I'll give you a second. Okay, second's over. Chapter 3, probably. Sneaking away. This is a short chapter. Yep, pretty short. Okay. Stephen entered the temple, but the room empty. He took a deep breath and went up to his room to grab his cheeseburger backpack. Then he ran back down into the kitchen and started to pick foods out and fill his bag with them while mumbling to himself the names of the foods. That should be enough, he said, zipping up one of the pockets and opening a different one before running back up to his room. He started packing it with supplies he thought they would need, and then he heard the temple door open. He quickly shoved the backpack under his bed in startlement, creating a loud clutter of noise. He looked down at the living room, and they saw Pearl and Amethyst walked in. Amethyst was whispering something to Pearl before Pearl looked up into Stephen's room. Stephen quickly darting over to the window. Stephen? That was horrible! Stephen? You up there? He heard Pearl's voice call out. He took a deep breath and put on a fake smile. Pearl, is that you? You're regened already? He called out, acting surprised as the two gems walked up the stairs. Yep, I tried to finish up early this time, she said, slightly smiling as silence filled the air. So, Stephen, don't you have something to tell us? Amethyst said, staring at Stephen. He gulped. Did they know him and Connie were doing? Did they know what him and Connie were doing? That couldn't be possible. What? I put 7 stuttered. I do horrible misspelliations. Okay. Stephen stuttered, acting innocent. We saw you trying to mess with your gem outside. Any luck? Pearl clarified. Stephen took a relieving breath. No, but I accidentally bubbled me and Connie, he said in a sad tone, coming back to his voice. That's great! Amethyst said enthusiastically. Stephen rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. The gems fell silent over this. No, it's not. I can't control it. I'm no crystal gem, and I know you guys. And I know you guys. And he said as he stopped, a few tears coming out of his eyes. What, Stephen? You're always going to be a crystal gem. Don't go kidding yourself again. Pearl said as he took a seat next to him. Yeah, even if we have to... Amethyst started, but Pearl made the silence motion with her hand. Yeah. No matter what happens to your gem, we'll be here. Amethyst said encouragingly. Mouth is foaming up. She said encouragingly as she sat down on the other side of him. Stephen sniffled, starting to forget the whole running away idea, but then remembered what they had said about him behind his back, which made his flame grow bigger. Thanks, guys. I'm sorry for what happened back there. We let Peridot get away. Again, Stephen confessed. It's all right, Stephen, Amethyst said. Your safety is more important than Peridot, she said as both of the gems hugged him. Now, you better go off to bed. We're gonna work more on that gem tomorrow, Pearl said, smiling as the two gems walked back downstairs. Now, we gotta run some errands, Amethyst said jokingly as Pearl rolled her eyes and walked out the door, followed by Amethyst. Stephen took a deep breath and sighed. Okay, we won't be gone forever, he mumbled to himself, thinking about the journey ahead. He looked over at the clock, seeing that it was almost time to go and meet Connie. He continued packing up his backpack and walked towards the door. Goodbye, Temple, he whispered under his breath before making his way down onto the beach. Hashtag Chapter 3! Seconds over. Down the road. Down the road. Damn it, we got some singing. Okay. I would never sing on camera, but I'm gonna do it! Very, very badly. The next afternoon! We are on our way to a better place, Stephen sang while strumming his ukulele and Connie clapping. Somewhere where we can be ourselves, Connie sang after Stephen. And we won't stop until we found paradise, they both sang, ending the song, and Stephen rolling the S. Oh, I forgot to roll the S, sorry. Paradise! There we go. They both giggled. Ha! This is great! Out on the open road, fresh air, grass as far as the eye could see. Why didn't we do this sooner? Connie said happily. Stephen shrugged. I don't know. We've been walking for like 12 hours without sleep, and I'm not even tired, he said. Connie nodding. This is so exciting! Yeah, we're nearing the Keystone border, Stephen said, pointing at a sign. A motel should be right around the corner. Want to stop there? Stephen asked. Nah, it's too close. I want to keep going until I get really tired, she said, kicking up some dirt on the road. Stephen nodded as he turned his head back to look down the path they just came from. Do you think they've noticed yet? Stephen said, looking back at Connie. I'm sure my parents have. I don't think the gems did yet, she said. Stephen paused for a second before nodding. Yeah, probably. I'm sure they will notice by tonight. I left a little note in the refrigerator, Stephen said. Oh, what did it say? Connie asked. Stephen giggled. I made it seem like Peridot kidnapped us, he said. Oh, wow, Connie said, surprised. So, that way they'll be trying to target her and get her because they think you're a hostage? She asked, surprised by Stephen's cleverness. No, I just didn't want to make it seem like I ran away. But you can say it that way, he said as they continued walking down the road, the dust cloud slowly fading behind them. Hashtag Chapter 4! Bronx! Sorry, I'm high on sugar. Chapter 5, probably something like that. The realization. Back at the temple! Captain! Okay. Sorry, I'm really high on sugar. Stephen, time to get up. You slept in late this morning. Pearl shot. That was horrible, Pearl. Pearl shouted up the stairs up the stairs from the kitchen, she heard nothing in response. Steven! Steven! Wakey, wakey! Amethyst said, a bit confused, as Steven would respond the first time Pearl told him to wake up. Pearl started to walk up the stairs, seeing Steven sleeping in his bed with the sheet over his face. Come on, sleepyhead, she said, poking the blanket. Still no response. All right, Steven, this isn't she said, freezing as she pulled the blanket off, seeing that it was only a numerous number of pillows. Pearl giggled, thinking Steven was playing a joke. All right, Steven, come out wherever you are, she said passively. The room fell silent. Come on, Steven, I want breakfast! Amethyst echoed out. Where is he? Pearl said, looking around. Steven, come on, stop! This isn't funny! Pearl shouted through the temple, still no response. Pearl started getting frustrated. Amethyst shrugged and walked into the fridge. He might not be here. When did you see him last? She asked, shuffling around the fridge, moving the milk aside to see the note, seeing the note, picking it up. He might have ran off with Connie. They have been hanging out a lot recently, Pearl said, looking around Steven's room. But it's just not like him to run off just like that, she said, looking down at Amethyst. Pearl? Amethyst said in a bit of a scared tone. What? Pearl asked, hopping down to the place where Amethyst was. She handed Pearl the note, reading it out loud. Hey, you crystal clods. I got your little Steven and his little friend. Come and find me if you can. If you want them to live. Pearl read, her voice cracking between sentences. They both froze for a moment. Paradox! Amethyst said, frustrated and also scared. Garnet! Steven's been kidnapped! Pearl said, running to the temple door, Garnet immediately coming out. Okay, Garnet. What? She asked. Pearl handed Garnet the note, reading it to herself. Her grip on the note got tighter as she finished reading it, eventually taking it and ripping it in half. We have to find them. Now! Garnet yelled. Pearl and Amethyst nodded, having a few tears in their eyes. If she laid a finger on either of them, Pearl said, readying her spear, readying her spear, and started messing with the pod on the bottom floor. Okay, so I think this is like one of the episodes before, like, the fanfiction is placed when they have the pod and they can like track where Peridot is and such. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Chapter 5. Okay, A Night to Remember. Oh, this is where the Steven X Connie really starts kicking in. Don't worry, everybody. It's not like porn or anything like that. But it is like, if you don't like ships or like, it's not anything bad, don't worry. It's not like too bad, like, you know, like what I said. But just be aware. But yet again, if you're a risk taker, boom, it's a video for you. And also, if you are very, 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 very sensitive, keep watching this video. I want to hear you cry. I want to hear your tears streaming down your face. What has happened to me? This is not who I am. A Night to Remember. 2 days later, at night, Steven sighed as he added more wood to the fire. Connie leaded Steven next to him, and they both wearing one of Greg's sweaters together for warmth. It's so cold. Steven shuddered through his clenched teeth. It's okay. It's just the wind, Connie said as she got into Steven's backpack. You hungry? She asked, digging into the backpack. Yeah. What we got in there? Steven asked, burying his face into the sweater. 1 bagel sandwich and 1 bottle of water is all we have left, she said in a depressed tone. Steven sighed. Great. Better make the most of it, he said as Fum. He said as Connie split the bagel in two, handing one half to Steven. Yeah, we should have stopped in that city and went to a store or something, she said, taking a large bite out of the bagel. No use if we even did. We don't have any money left, Steven sighed. Hey, it's okay. We'll make this work, Connie said, putting her hand on Steven's shoulder. Steven stared into Connie's eyes for a moment before he whispered, Do you think it's too late to go back? He said, as Connie frowned and hugged him tightly. We're 1.5 states away from Beach City, Steven. It's too late. But hey, it's been fun, all right? It's been fun, right? She whispered softly in his ear. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine anything better, he said, whispering back. I'm stuffy. She said, whispering. He whispered back, squeezing her tightly to his body. Do you think they're looking for us? He said, feeling more homesick than ever. Of course. But they won't find us. Don't worry, we're safe. No, come on. Let's enjoy this glamorous night together, she said, and a bit of blush formed on her face. Oh, come here, you, she said, pulling Connie tightly next to him. She giggled slightly and lied down next to him, her head on his chest, wrapping the sweater around the both of them. Stephen put his arms around Connie, and they were both blushing deeply as they watched the stars in the sky. Stephen looked into Connie's eyes as the stars glowing back, making her seem so much more beautiful. Stephen's eyes formed two stars as he stared at her face for a few moments before looking back into the sky. Connie yawned softly and nuzzled next to him, lying down as Stephen saw her eyes fill with drowsiness and starting to close. Stephen smiled and blushed deeply as he felt Connie's muscles relax on him. Her breathing got softer as it created a warm mist in the evening air. Stephen felt drowsiness clawing at his eyes as he struggled to stay awake. Eventually it overcame him, and he soothingly fell asleep as he felt Connie's slow heartbeat against his. Oh, it's so adorable. I think it is just... Aww. Hashtag chapter 6! Woo! Click and clack. Okay. This chapter is called Click and Clack. I don't know why I named it Click and Clack. And there's nothing against clicking and clacking or clanking. Click, clack, and clank. I should have done that. Take a soda break. Sorry, I'm going to be gaming later tonight. So I got my Cheetos. I got my oatmeal cream pies from Little Debbie. Not sponsored. Root beer. Twix. Not sponsored. And apple juice. Okay. Click and clack. If it'll load. The next morning at the temple. Pearl pacing around the room. Why isn't the pod working? Oh, we'll never find Steven! Pearl yelled to Garnet, who was trying to mess with the pod. I don't know, but I can't see Parrot on my vision. But that is strange, because she left the note. Garnet said, a bit frustrated. Amethyst walked into the house and quickly shut the screen door behind her. Well, how did it go? Pearl said, a worried look on her face. Horrible. Greg is freaking out, and Connie's parents are gonna lose their minds, Amethyst said in a worried tone. Even more reason we need to find them. Pearl stuttered. Lion darted in the... Here comes Lion! Widow Lion! I love my Widow Lion. Hashtag Lion, favorite character. That was not important. Lion darted into the room and jumped over Amethyst, running up to Pearl with something in his mouth. Gah! Lion, Pearl said. Sorry, I was ripping the wrapping off my soda. Gah! Lion, Pearl said, putting a hand on Lion's nose. Lion shook her hand off and opened his mouth, spitting a large red glop onto the floor. covered in drool. Ha! Nice one, Lion, Amethyst said, laughing. Heal, Lion. Wait, what is that? Pearl said, lifting the saliva-covered object up off the ground and immediately dropping it in a gasp. What? What? Garnet. Garnet and Amethyst asked after she gasped. It's Steven's shirt. Looks like the one he was wearing. She said, stepping back from it scared. Garnet walked over to it and picked up the dripping shirt. There were 3 slash marks in the shirt across the star, creating a hole in the shape of a diamond. What? I don't remember writing this. She said, examining the shirt. What is it, Garnet? Did something attack him? Amethyst said, a bit fearful. No, in fact, he attacked himself. Wait, when did I write this? Garnet said, confusing herself along with the others and me. What? How? And why? Pearl asked. Steven's pocket knife has a unique curve in it from an accident we have. The shirt is identical to it. Garnet said, shoving the shirt back onto the ground. Then, what does that mean? That he cut his own shirt? Or attacked himself? Oh, that was Amethyst. Amethyst said, still confused. Steven would never do that. Would he? Pearl defended cautiously. The room fell silent. It's most likely he was attacked with his own weapon, the girl said, returning to the pod. Lost and injured? We have to find him now! Pearl said, running to Garnet's side. Amethyst watched from a distance as they tried to fix the pod. Suddenly, it shot to life. Yes! Pearl and Garnet shouted excitedly. I just got really high-pitched and I'm like, calm. I am Garnet. I am calm. Garnet. Okay. Done. Pearl used her hologram powers to broadcast the spot where Peridot was hidden. She's 2 seats away. Come on, let's go, she said, jumping onto the portal, followed by Garnet. Wait, what? I don't remember writing this part. Let's save Steven, Amethyst said, following them as they teleported away. Hashtag chapter 7! Probably, I don't remember. Lazy morning. This is probably the shortest chapter. You don't even have to scroll on the page. Okay. Earlier that morning. What is wrong with me today? Steven's eyes slowly opened as a sharp ray of sunlight flickered in his eyes. He blinked a few times before completely opening his eyes and slightly yawning. He looked down and saw Connie peacefully sleeping on his chest, unbothered by the sunlight. The same smile and blush from last night came back to his face as he looked into hers. Looked up into the sky. A pure light blue color with big white fluffy clouds filled the sky, along with the crisp morning air that filled his lungs. This is life. This is how it should be. I never want to let this feeling go. He thought to himself, closing his eyes and savoring the moment. The tree directly above them swayed passively in the wind, creating a soft breeze blowing onto his face, and a soothing sound as the swaying leaves made everything seem so much better. He felt himself start to fall asleep once more. He suddenly heard a familiar sound, the sound of a warp pad. His eyes popped open at the sound, but after a few moments of silence, he dozed off again. Dun dun dun! Suspense! Hashtag chapter 8, I think. The Finding of Steven, the longest chapter. Wait, is this? The Finding of Steven, the trap broken, the cave, wars well that ends well, and everlasting love. Okay, there's like 5 more chapters. This is probably a really. Oh no, I remember. I cut up the chapters. That's right. That's why there's 5 more. Back to the gems! Chill pill. I am Garnet. I am Garnet. I am calm like Garnet. Here, somewhere, Pearl said, scanning the large rock wall. What would Peridot be doing in a huge mountain like this? Amethyst said, a bit frustrated. I don't know. I don't know. I still can't see anything. Amethyst, why don't you go look around in the sky? You might spot something up there. Come tell us if you see something. Garnet said, looking around a rock wall. Meh. Fine. She said, shapeshifting into a purple jay. I wrote blue jay. A purple jay, and taking flight into the sky. I love purple! This is purple. That is purple. Everything is purple. Okay. Taking flight to the sky, she looked around and spotted a single tree in the middle of the field. This is when the stories cross paths. Oh, I kind of spoiled it there. Bleep! Just kidding. She looked around, spotting a single tree in the middle of a field of wheat by the dirt road. She saw movement. Surprised, she quickly darted down to the tree, into the branches of the tree. She gasped at what she saw. Connie's eyes slowly fluttered open as she let out a quiet but squeaky yawn. Stephen opened his eyes and looked down at Connie. Morning, he said with a goofy smile on his face. Connie smiled slightly, sitting up from his chest and stretching. Man, did I fall asleep? That was a real yawn, she said, rubbing her eyes. Yep, he said, and sat up. I didn't want to wake you. He looks so cute, he said as his face started to get a bit red. Connie giggled, nudging him. He giggled, removing the sweater from the both of them. Amethyst stared down at the two silently. Where's Peridot? And why do they look so happy if they got kidnapped? She asked herself. I know I keep saying it, but running away was the best idea ever, she said, putting the sweater into Steven's backpack. Amethyst froze. Ran away, she whispered loudly to herself, trying to keep quiet. She filled with anger and sadness. Sad Mad. From Home. I watched that last night. I'm sorry. That Stephen would just run away without telling them. She darted out of the tree quickly and back up to the warpad, where Garnet and Amethyst were still searching. Guys, she said, shape-shifting into her original form. What? Pearl said, quickly turning around. I found them! Amethyst shouted with hesitation. Really? Pearl shouted. Hold on. Scrolling down. Pearl shouted, almost squealing. Yeah. Amethyst said, pausing. What's wrong? Are they hurt? Amethyst said, her state of fear returning. No, they're perfectly fine. Fact, Amethyst said, tears in her eyes. Garnet and Pearl froze. They have been this whole time. I snuck up on them, and they were happy, and that they ran away. Amethyst shouting, more tears coming to her eyes. Pearl froze in shock. But they look so happy together, Amethyst said, looking back over the edge of the cliff. Oh, that boy is in big trouble, Garnet said through clenched teeth. Laughter could be heard from the field, so they all turned and peeked over the edge to see Stephen and Connie chasing each other around the tree, kicking up daffodil seeds into the air. The three gems nodded and jumped down into the field. Get ready for this. That's not the right song. Okay. Let's start this. There was a space, so yeah, okay. Soda break. Okay. Hey, get back here. Stephen said, panting and laughing. Not if you catch me first, Connie said, running into Stephen immediately after they fell onto the ground, laughing. Stephen! They heard a voice yell. They immediately froze as the both of them recognized the yell. They looked behind them, and there stood. We are the crystal gems! There stood the crystal gems. Stephen took a big gulp as they saw the look on their faces. Had they figured it out? He thought. Stephen? Connie? What are you two doing? Pearl asked, and still neither of them responded out of shock. Stephen, doing the only thing he could think of, grabbed Connie's hand and started running into the other direction. Wait, hey, Stephen! Amethyst shouted, sprinting after him. Pearl face-palmed herself before sprinting after them, before following. Garnet just standing there watching them. Stephen, stop! What are you doing? Connie yelled as she was pulled by Stephen's hand. Stephen didn't respond, but looked back to see the gems weren't behind him. It's just the gems! Stephen, look out! Connie yelled as Stephen quickly turned his head and slammed into Amethyst, knocking all three of them to the ground. Got you! Amethyst said, I'm grasping my soda. Amethyst said, wrapping her arms around Stephen, trapping him. Stephen yelled, trying to get away from Amethyst. Pearl caught up to them. Stephen stopped struggling as he froze in fear. Garnet jumping right behind her. And they all looked at Stephen. And they all looked at Stephen. Connie, stepping back in fear, watched as Stephen got stared down by the gems. What were you thinking, Stephen? Pearl said, her voice filled with anger. Stephen, not knowing what to say, his eyes... What is that? Oh, plastic. His eyes filled with tears. What are you doing out here? Us and your... Wait, who was that? Okay, that was Pearl. Us and your father have been worried sick about you. You didn't even notify us that you were leaving, Pearl said, looking over at Connie, who took another step back. And you should be ashamed of yourself, putting this idea in his head. He doesn't know any better. You both could have been... Pearl started, but Stephen yelped out, Stop! It was me! He froze. He said. Pearl froze. He looked back at Stephen. All the gems... And looked back at Stephen. All the gems did in shock. I came up with the idea. I ran away. It's not her fault, he said, tears pouring out of her eyes. I'm not helpless. I can take care of myself. He yelled at her, anger bubbling up within him. None of the gems responded. The area fell silent as Stephen realized what he was doing. I'm sorry, he said, tears coming out of his eyes. Amethyst changed her tightening grip on him into more of a hug. But why? Amethyst asked under her breath. Stephen paused for a moment, taking a deep breath and looking at the two gems in front of him. I heard you guys talking about me and how you're gonna bench me, Stephen said through his tears. Pearl and Amethyst gasped. I was probably spitting all over the screen, but I can't even see it. Gasped. Garnet changing her expression into more of a shocking one. Stephen, we were just... Pearl started, but Garnet put her hand in front of Pearl to silence her, kneeling down in front of him. Stephen, we were discussing what we would do if your gem stopped working. I was sure that your gem would be fine, but until then, yes, we were going to bench you. But you know it's for your own safety. And we were talking about it because we love you, she said, wiping away some of his tears. But that's not the real reason you left, was it? She said. Stephen paused before guiltily nodding. Pearl and Amethyst's eyes widened. You guys were disappointed in me. And I know you guys... You always want me to be just like my mom. But I'm not. And I know you guys blame me for Mom not being here. Stephen said through his tears as they streamed down onto his face. We all miss your mother, Stephen. It's true. And we haven't chosen our words wisely about as we are around you. But not a moment goes by that we don't thank her for giving us you, she said as a few tears dripped down onto her face as she hugged him tightly. Pearl joining, wiping away her tears. Connie smiled slightly and wiped the tears she had from her face. Well, if it isn't the crystal Quartz! A voice echoed straight from behind Connie. which made her freeze. I am wrecking it now. Okay. Hashtag chapter 8, I think. Hashtag chapter 8. I will give you a second. I did not do that. I think the trap is the biggest one. I'm not quite sure how long is the trap. Oh, not too bad. Oh, I know what one's the longest one. It's the one after this. Let me just sip on my soda. Okay. The gems looked up into the sky, right above where Connie was standing. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you having a moment? My Peridot voice and my Bill voice sound the same. Well, considering the fact they are both Doritos. Yes, I said it. Doritos. Then they can have the same voice. I don't care. I am British Australian and I get to do what I want. It is a race I made up. I made it up. Stop judging me. Stop it right now. Don't go down to the comments and judge me. Just kidding. Not. I'm just kidding. Not. About that. Ha! I have confused you. Okay. The voice said sarcastically. Peridot. Garnet said through clenched teeth. Connie quickly darted closer to the gems. Stay behind us, kids. We'll deal with this. Pearl said, standing up alongside with the other gems. Connie quickly helped Steven up, and they stepped back a few steps from the gems. Well, looks like you have come to me once more. And I might just say, you're in for a surprise, Crystal Claws, she said, landing exactly 20 feet away from the gems. Steven quickly started scanning the ground, realizing that Peridot was planning something. Well, come and get me, she said with an evil laugh as she formed her electrical pad with her fingers. Ugh! I just about have enough of you, Parrot Brat! My voice cracked. Amethyst said, lunging quickly in the direction Peridot was. Stop! Steven shouted, running and knocking Amethyst in a different direction before landing on the ground a few feet away from Peridot. Ha! She said and pressed the button on her pad, sending a small metal spear up out of the ground with spikes on it, engulfing Steven within a mere 3 seconds. Steven! The gems and Connie yelled. Blood started to slowly leak out of the object. Oh yeah, advised for a younger audience. Yeah, there's blood and gore and horror shit in here. 'Cause that's just who I am. Okay. Blood started to leak out of the object. No! Steven! Connie said, tears pouring out of her eyes, trying to run over to the spear, but Garnet held her back. You fools! There's nothing to worry about! It's a device that makes gems poof! Don't worry, he'll be fine. Peridot reassured, taking a few more steps in a different direction. He didn't poof! He's half human! Connie screamed through her tears. Peridot froze. Oh, she said. Pearl was breathing heavily. You, she said, her face flowing with tears. We just got him back! Amethyst said, darting over to Peridot. Peridot teased, pressing another button, sending another spear up out of the ground and trapping Amethyst. It's a minefield out here, Garnet said. We gotta save Steven! He could die in there! Connie cried, looking at Pearl and Garnet. Garnet stared at Connie, then looked back at the spear that was leaking blood. She's alright. She's right. He's gonna die in there, Garnet said, looking around the area. Suddenly, the spear that Steven was trapped in burst open as a large pink bubble grew bigger, making it crumble. Steven was inside the bubble. At the bottom of it, barely kneeling upright, His arm was covered in blood and was limp against his side. His right arm was covered in blood and limp against his side. And the torn up pieces of the bandage he had on was at the bottom of the bubble. Blood was smeared all over places on the bubble as he held up his left arm against the bubble, holding it together. "Stephen!" Pearl and Connie shouted shockingly as Stephen looked up. He could feel his vision blurring. He was losing blood too quickly. The gash in his arm had gotten bigger, making it bleed more. Peridot looked in shock at the spear. But it was invulnerable! She mumbled to herself. "Stephen, stay conscious and get out of there!" He heard Connie yell, but he couldn't move. "His body's unstable. He's losing too much blood. He's about to go unconscious," she said, looking around at the floor. Scroll. "We have to get the both of them out of there. But if Stephen tries to go anywhere, he might set off another one of those traps. And Amethyst is poof, so she can't get out," Pearl said, staring at Stephen. Suddenly, an too-familiar voice echoed from behind the gems as they turned around. "I see you've gotten into some sort of situation," the voice said as she stared the gems down. Jasper?" Pearl said, shocked. Stephen opened his eyes, focusing on the bubble. "No," he said, wincing as pain flowed through his bottle. Jasper started to walk close to the group. "I finally overpowered that little brat. She got away, though, but man, I gave her a good beating." Jasper said with an evil smile as the group stepped back. Jasper started to run towards the group. "And this is for wrecking my ship," she said, forming her weapon on her head. "Ow, I clapped so hard!" Pearl and Garnet readied their weapons, and Connie jumped behind them, frightened. Suddenly, Stephen popped his bubble, leaped in front of them, leaped with all his might in front of the group, and held up both his arms as his gem glowed, forming the biggest shield any of them have ever seen. Jasper smashed into the shield, getting knocked back. Stephen wailed in pain as he tried to keep the shield up. "Run, guys! Run!" Stephen yelled. "You!" Jasper said, sitting up after recovering from the shock. Garnet grabbed Stephen quickly as the shield started to fade. "Run!" Pearl shouted as he ran in the direction of Peridot. "You clods! There's no escape!" she said, pressing the button on her pad. Garnet poofed from right underneath Stephen, Connie catching him as the spear engulfed both Garnet and Pearl's gems. Connie held Stephen as he kneeled on the ground, his gem glowing. 4 down, 2 to go, Jasper said evilly, walking closer to Stephen and Connie. Stephen used all of his might to form a bubble around him and Connie, pressing both his hands on it to keep it sturdy. Connie held on to Stephen tightly, extremely frightened. I won't let them hurt you," Stephen spoke, his world filled with pain as he squinted his eyes shut. "Stephen, it's okay. Stay strong. I won't let them hurt you either," she said, looking into his eyes, filled with tears as he slowly opened them to see hers. "Come on, make this bubble pop already," Jasper said, banging on the bubble, making Stephen wail with pain. I'm sorry, Connie," he said as his eyes blur the vision of her face until eventually everything went black, and the last thing was heard was Connie screaming, "Stephen!" as he fell unconscious. Hashtag Chapter 8, I think I lost track. Hashtag Chapter 8, I think I lost track. Type it down in the comment section. Here we go. Chapter 9, I think. Broken. I bet that last chapter surprised most of you. I don't always make a badass fanfiction, but when I do, I make a badass fanfiction. Hashtag meme. Okay. Broken. Stephen felt the floor underneath him move as he heard voices. Some sounded like crying voices until he realized they were crying. The voices started to become more and more familiar as the darkness he saw started to fade to white. His eyes slowly started to flutter open as pain rushing back to his body. He moaned softly, trying to ignore the pain. His eyes fully opened into a squint, and he was staring at an oddly shaped ceiling. He slowly sat up, his muscles aching. His eyes focused more as he saw Connie crying on the other side of the room, facing the wall. Connie? He said weakly. Connie froze and turned around. Stephen! She whispered/yelled, and quickly ran over and hugged him, her face drenched with tears. He hugged her back softly and noticed that he had a piece of cloth wrapped around his arm. I'm so happy you're okay, she said through her tears, looking into Stephen's face. Blood was smeared across her face, which startled Stephen. What happened to you? He asked, a bit worried. Oh, yeah, Connie said. Jasper, she mumbled. Stephen slowly wiped away some of the blood away from her face, revealing a large slash across her left eye. She went softly as more blood leaked out of it. I'm sorry, Stephen apologized, then looked around the room they were in. It looked similar to one of the cells he was trapped in the yellow field on the ship that was destroyed. We have to get out of here, Stephen mumbled, looking at the similar yellow field along with metal bars spread across it, like a hamster cage would have. No, Stephen, there's more gems out there. I was the only one who saw it, but there was at least 3 of those big hand ships, and we're in one of them. There's a bunch of other gems, and they're going to attack. We might as well just stay here and stay alive, Connie said, her good eye filling with tears as the words came out. Stephen stared at Connie in shock. Connie suddenly fell silent as a banging came from the other side of the wall. Connie, is Stephen awake? A familiar voice said. Connie jumped and ran over to the wall. Yes, he is, Ruby! He is, Stephen said. Stephen, are you okay? Ruby asked, getting a bit of a scared tone. Ruby? Stephen said as he moved over to the wall. Yeah, I'm okay. Are you guys okay? Where's the other gems? Stephen asked. I'm fine, but the other gems are probably down at the end of the hallway with Safi. Anyway, listen, Stephen, Connie probably already told you, but Yellow Diamond is here. You don't know who that is, but it's too dangerous to leave. Please, don't even try, Stephen. We don't want you to die, Ruby said through the wall, her tone progressively getting lower. Stephen paused for a few moments. Yeah, okay, he said sadly and leaned on the wall. Just promise me any of us, anyone, won't get hurt, Stephen said. No response came from the other wall. I can't promise that, Ruby said. It sounded like she was tearing up. Stephen paused for a moment. Oh, okay, he said as his voice cracked. Listen, Ruby, Connie, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. If I didn't leave, none of us would be in this mess. Stephen said as tears came to his face. No, Stephen, we would have gotten caught either way, Connie said, putting her arm around Stephen. Stephen leaned on her shoulder, pain still flowing through his arm as he moaned softly. No, Stephen, it's okay. It's our faults. We shouldn't have been talking about you behind your back, Ruby said. No, it's okay. No, it's okay, Stephen reassured, closing his eyes, his voice getting quieter. Stephen, are you okay? Connie asked, a bit concerned. Yeah, I'm fine. It just hurts, he breathed slowly. Okay, take it easy. You lost a lot of blood, Connie said, feeling his forehead. And you're kind of pale, she said as Stephen rested his head on her shoulder. I'm just glad you're okay, she said as she said as Stephen held her hand. I'm glad Jasper didn't hurt you too bad, he said, rubbing her hand in his. A voice shouted down the hallway, unclear of what the words were. Jasper's coming. Stay low, Stephen. Stay low, Stephen. Ruby said through the wall. Stephen and Connie moved to the other side of the room. Oh, God. Young audience advised at this part. This is a horrible, dramatic part. Just a warning, by the way. Very fucking dramatic. Jasper charged past the cells, mumbling to herself. Man, gotta fund that little, she said before turning around, seeing Stephen and Connie crouched in the corner. Well. You're awake, she said in a bit of a mocking tone. Neither of them replied, but Jasper stared at them. What? Not gonna say anything? She teased, positioning herself on the outside of the cell. I hope you like the new look I gave her, you little Stephen, she said, looking back at his face. Anger started to bubble up within him, trying to block her out with all he could by staring at the wall. Well, don't worry. That's only one of your friends you will ever see again. I've got some business to take care of with the rest of them, she said, taunting him. Don't listen to her, Stephen. She's trying to antagonize you, Connie whispered in his ear. What did you say? Jasper said in an angry tone, smashing the button while opening up the cell. Nothing, Connie said in a frightened tone. You said something, Jasper said, grabbing her shirt and pulling. I spat all over the screen, pulling it up to her face. Hey, stop it, Stephen said, kicking Jasper. Jasper evilly laughed before throwing Connie to the ground and staring Stephen in the eyes. Hers went bloodshot. You kicked me? Jasper said, an evil grin spreading across her face as she grasped her hands around Stephen's neck. Yeah, I'll do it again, he said, lifting up his foot and smashing her in the face. She immediately shook it off and stared him in the eyes. Stop! Don't hurt him! Connie said, forcefully pushing Jasper. Stay back, you stupid kid, Jasper said, kicking Connie hard as she smashed into the wall, crashing onto the ground. She tightened her grip around Stephen's neck as he struggled to get out of her grasp. How's this for kicking? She said, lifting him up, not releasing her grip. Teenager could do better. Stephen coughed out, trying to fight Jasper back. Connie, run! He coughed as Jasper clamped his neck tighter. Connie stared at Stephen in agony as blood dripped onto the floor. How's this for a puny teenager? Jasper said, started to repeatedly smash Stephen against the wall, making him scream in pain. Tears fell out of Connie's eyes as she started out of the cell. Ruby saw her. Tears were flooding her eyes. Connie, smash the box in the other hallway! It will break the power! She shouted over Stephen's screams and Jasper's tormentive yells. Connie nodded and sprinted down the hallway, her body flowing with pain from the slamming into the wall so hard. She reached the end of the hallway. A large green metal box was glowing as Stephen's bloody murder screams echoed down the hallway. She tried to pull it. I am strong like Garnet. I am strong like Garnet. I am calm. I am fine. I am emotionless. Emotionless. She tried to pull it open with all her might, but it was shut tight. She started smashing it repeatedly with her foot and eventually making the cover pop off. Picking up the cover, she repeatedly smashed the box until the little sparks shot out of the box and the lights flickered off, along with the cell doors. Connie rushed down to the back to the cell door. Stephen's screams were silenced. Connie heard struggling coming from the other room, and a loud poof echoed through the corridor by something that sounded like shattering glass. Stephen? Ruby? Anyone? Connie said, blindly wandering in the dark. She saw the illuminate of a purple gem glow as it came towards her. Connie? Come, take my hand. Stephen's hurt. Badly. Amethyst's voice said as she saw a hand held out toward hers. She took the hand and felt her body get dragged farther away down the hallway, where more gem glows illuminated in the darkness. I am strong. I am strong. I am Garnet. I am strong. I am emotionless. Emotionalist. Connie gasped as she saw Steve. Emotionless. Motionless. Connie gasped as she saw Stephen suspended up off the ground by Garnet, blood everywhere, covering the wall and all over Stephen's clothes. Pearl used her gem to make a flashlight while trying to help Stephen. Connie's eyes filled up with tears as she kneeled down next to Stephen. Stephen slightly opening one eye to see Pearl's gem slightly illuminate Connie's face. He chuckled slowly. It's okay, guys, he said, his voice weak and full of agony. Stephen's gem glow flickered from under his shirt, the light barely shining through his shirt. Connie slowly lifted up his shirt as a few chips fell off of his gem and onto the floor from a crack that was slashed deeply into his gem. Pearl and Amethyst gasped in fear, Pearl covering her mouth as tears poured out of her eyes. Garnet had tears dripping down her face as she softly pet Stephen's head. It's okay, Stephen. We're all here, she whispered through her tears. Connie stared in shock, fear and guilt. I am emotionless. I am emotionless. Garnet. Emotionless like Garnet. Emotionless. Fear and guilt overwhelmed her body as she realized what was happening. He's dying. We can't fix this in time, she said to herself in her head. She welled up with tears as she squeezed his hand tightly. I'm sorry, Stephen, she cried out as he very carefully sat up, Garnet supporting him up. He carefully leaned over and wrapped his arms around Connie's neck tightly. Connie froze before carefully putting her arms around him. The room fell silent, and all that could be heard was Connie's silent cries as Stephen held onto her neck tightly. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going anyway. I'm not going away, Stephen said, his voice filled with pain. I should have denied us leaving, Connie said in breaths as she tried to calm down. Stephen closed his eyes, his body filling with more pain. It's okay. It's not your fault, Stephen whispered quietly into her ear. Connie breathed slowly as Stephen slowly pet her hair with his shaking hand. Just calm down. Everyone, calm down. Stephen gasped out. He felt his body start to shift. Connie felt all of Stephen's weight get shoved onto her as his breathing slowed. She held him tightly as tears rolled out of all the gem's eyes. Come on, Stephen. You can do it, she whispered. He paused for a moment before slowly nodding. Footsteps could be heard from down the hallway, then stopped before they reached his cell. Garnet summoned her gauntlets. Protect the both of them. There's others gems on this ship, Garnet said, standing up. Please be careful, Garnet, Pearl said, her voice cracking. Mouth foam. Garnet looked over at Stephen, then back up at Pearl, and nodded, wiping her tears away. She slowly made her way out of the room as the group looked back at Stephen, who was trying to stand up, and Connie helping him. I know. I can do it, he breathed as Connie held him up. Stephen, don't hurt yourself. Stay on the ground, Pearl urged as Stephen sighed and slid back down to the ground. It's okay, Stephen. We'll get out here safely, Connie said as she felt the ground start to shake. What? Pearl said as she started to feel gravity decreasing. Connie held Stephen tightly as they started to float off the ground. We're falling! Amethyst shouted. Pearl and Amethyst quickly bubbled themselves with Stephen and Connie as they smashed into the ocean's surface. Stephen breathed heavily as their ship started to fall apart. Are you okay? Connie shouted, a bit scared, looking into Stephen's eyes. I'm fine, he scuffled as Connie helped him sit up inside the bubble. Amethyst looked around frightened. We're in the middle of the ocean. Yellow Diamond is coming to kill everyone, and we're in the middle of nowhere, and Steven's hurt, and we're all gonna be dead! Amethyst shouted at Pearl, tears streaming down her face. Well, it's not my fault. You're the one who launched himself the Peridot. Pearl argued, tears also spread across her face. You think I knew there was traps everywhere? Amethyst started as they continued bickering. Steven sighed as he leaned on Connie and winced. Guys, please stop. He coughed out quietly as Pearl and Amethyst froze. Steven. Pearl said as she looked down at him. I'm sorry, Steven. It was my fault. Amethyst said, looking away from him as she held her hand up to her mouth, tears pouring out of her eyes. No, it's my fault, he whispered as a single tear dripped down from his face. What? No, it wasn't. We shouldn't have been talking about you behind your back. If anything, it's our fault, and you wouldn't be in this mess. Pearl squeaked out as more and more tears poured down her face. He opened his eyes slowly to look at them. No, don't blame yourselves. You take responsibility. Seriously. He muffled out. Connie looked up at the two gems, her eyes filled with tears. We have to save him, she cried through her tears. Pearl and Amethyst looked at each other before Amethyst came up with an idea. Rose's garden! We can take him there! She said in a happier tone as Steven stared at her blankly. But what about Beach City and Yellow Diamond? He asked. Well, they will, Pearl said, trying not to tell Steven the truth. His expression changed into an uneasy frown. No! We have to save the planet, he coughed out. But Steven, what about you? You'll be dead, Amethyst said, admitting to herself the truth of the situation. I'm fine. I'm not going to die, he said as he moaned in pain once more as he sat up. I'm not going. I'm saving the world. And if you don't want to help, then fine, he said as he used Connie and the edge of the bubble to help him stand up. Suddenly, the water underneath them started to shake as they got lifted into the air away from the remains of the ship as Steven lost his balance and Connie catching him. It looked like a pair of hands holding up the bubble as a familiar gem rose up from the water. Well, Lapis? Steven and the group said. Lapis smiled as she waved back at the bubble. Bruises and cuts surrounded her arms, and a large black eye covered her face. What happened to you? Steven was shocked as he leaned up against the bubble. Jasper, I'm fine, really, but I was following the ship to make sure you guys were safe, she said. Guys, please, pop the bubble, Steven said as he looked back at them. Oh, yeah, sorry, Pearl said, popping the bubble as they landed softly on the water. Lapis and Steven hugged tightly, Lapis examining his injuries. What happened to you? She whispered. Jasper and Peridot, he said, pointing to his gem, then his makeshift bandage on his arm. She cracked your gem? Lapis said, startled. Yeah, but really, I'm fine, he coughed out, looking back at Connie. We have to get back to Beach City and stop Yellow Diamond, Steven said, shifting his glance to the whole group. Pearl froze before nodding. Steven's right. His gem isn't breaking anymore. It's probably just cracked. But Yellow Diamond can't wait. We have to stop him. / her. Okay, I've done a few things. I've put like him and then her as the gem genders or whatever. I might have put him a few times for Yellow Diamond, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. So just a heads up, because nobody knows the gender. And second of all, gems don't have genders. They're they're at gender or whatever. They don't have genders. I'm getting sleepy. I need some adrenaline. Steven said, she said, looking back ahead over the ocean. I can get us there, Lapis said, raising up a bit of ocean water. A familiar roar echoed out from over the ocean before a familiar cat jumped up onto the tower of water. Lion! Connie and Steven said as Lion tilted his head down, revealing Garnet on his back. And Garnet! Steven said happily as she jumped down. Peridot is gone. And I found this guy running along the ocean water. Garnet said, going over to Steven. Is everyone okay? She asked as he hugged her. Yep, feeling better, Steven said. Lion roared and pointed his nose up to the sky as it started to turn a reddish black. We have to go. Now, Lapis said as the group looked up. Lion grabbed Steven and put him on his back and allowed Connie to jump on. We'll get there. I'll take Lion, Steven said. The group nodded. Lion quickly jumped off the water and ran along the surface, roaring loudly and teleporting. Now this is where it starts getting a badass fanfiction. Okay. Up in the bedroom after the war. It starts up in a bedroom after the war. I love that song. Okay. The cave. Oh, yeah. Hashtag chapter 9, I think. And then this is hashtag chapter 10 because I don't remember chapters. The wisdom dog. Etc. Okay, I'm sorry for wasting time. Lion slid along the water into a cave where he stopped. Steven looked up and around the cave. Lion, why are we here? He said, looking at the familiar cave where he had taken them before. A pit stop, Connie said after realizing what Lion was doing. What? Steven said, confused. We're going into battle. We need to suit up, Connie said, helping Steven down. Oh, Steven said understandingly as they ran up. Understandingly a word? As they ran up to the floor lighting up underneath them as the middle column rose up from the ground. Steven placed his hand onto it and Connie booped his nose and a bunch of armor shot up from the ground. All of this is too big for us, Steven said, looking up at the armor and frowning. Connie froze for a moment before coming up with an idea. No, it will fit us, Connie said, looking into Steven's eyes. Steven froze for a moment, confused by what Connie was saying. Stevani, Connie said, sighing in humiliation as Steven giggles. I know, he laughed. All right, then. Shall we dance? She asked, placing her hand on his, making them blush. Steven held her hand and started to dance. Swiftly, giggling as Steven's gem flickered and flashed underneath his shirt. Will it work with my gem cracked? Steven asked as Connie smiled. No use in not trying, she said as they continued to dance. Steven's gem flickered and flashed more as they danced. 3, 2, 1. They counted down as Steven swung Connie around below him, and they giggled, touching noses. They both started to glow. Okay, I'm Garnet. I don't know why I'm getting feely over this. They both started to glow as they fused to each other, creating Stevani. I'll offer place. She fell to the ground as the glow stopped. It worked, she said, feeling her eye as the gash continued to bleed. How? This must have really hurt. Oh my gosh, your gem! She said, wincing from the pain. It's okay. You'll get used to it, she said, standing up. She glanced at... Oh, I have to do the same voice for Stevani. She said, standing up. She glanced around the armor before spotting a pink and white lined armor with Rose's design on it that seemed to the size of her torso. That one, she said, running up and running up to it and taking it from the stand. She fitted it around her body, adjusting it comfortably. Perfect, she whispered as she glanced back at Lion, who had nudged her from behind. Lion kneeled down as Stevani reached her hand into his head, withdrawing Rose's sword. Yes, she said as her eyes lit up with stars. Strapping the sword to her waist, she hopped back on Lion. All right, let's go, Lion. Let's go save the day, Stevani said, wincing in pain of her gem as Lion took off. Hashtag chapter 11, I think. I'm not very sure. Let's go continue. Let's click this. We have 2 more chapters. War's Well That Ends Well is probably the longest one. War's Well That Ends Well. A pun off of All's Well That... Oh, War's Well None Ends Well. War's Well None Ends Well. That's the name of the chapter. Okay. This is really pretty long. Oh, it's not actually too bad. Okay, get ready for some bleeping feels. I'm gonna try and stop cussing. It's a bad habit. Lion skid across the floor and down. I am Garnet. I am Garnet. I am Garnet! Ah! Okay, Lion skid across the ground and onto the sand of Beach City. The sky a deep red blood color, and red sand filling the air. Stevani took a deep breath as Lion continued trudging through the sand. To the temple. To the temple. This isn't as bad as it seems. Too bad. We have to try, Stevani said to herself as Lion darted to the stone wall on the corner of the temple, looking down across the beach. She gasped as at least 3 homeworld ships were landed on the beach. Each gem that was in the area was heavily equipped with high-tech gem armor. My God, Stevani said in shock. All the gems started to shift as the middle ship, the biggest ship, opened its hatch. Out stepped a dark yellow gem, who looked up upon all the other gems, scanning the area. Yellow diamond. Stevani mumbled under her breath. That must be her. This is it. Let's do this, Stevani said confidently. Go, Lion, now! She yelled as Lion darted out and over a few gems with surprising them. Stevani skid in front of the temple where the homeworld gems were starting to move closer. A deep growl bellowed from Lion's throat as Stevani stared directly at Yellow Diamond, who stared at them unimpressed. Stay off this beach! You have no need here! You have no need to be here! Stevani yelled at her as Peridot stepped into view. What? How did they escape this time? Jasper had the... She started, but Yellow Diamond put her hand in front of her to quiet her from speaking. Looking back up at her, she remained calm. Why do you presume we have no business with Rose Quartz? Jasper told me quite a few things about this. Stephen, she said, staring down at the fused pair. Rose, Stevani mumbled, not looking away from the gem. You shall not take over this planet or continue to reproduce gems here, Stevani said, ignoring Yellow Diamond's Rose quote. Then we shall fight for the land. I declare war with you, gems. Oh, that was Peridot. Then we shall fight for the land. I declare war with you, gems. Peridot yelled, looking back at Yellow Diamond as she stared at the parents that sat upon the pink-maned cat. With a slight nod, Peridot smiled. Begin the battle! She shouted as the other gems yelled. Getting out their high-tech weapons. Suddenly, a large roaring sound bellowed from behind the fleet, and a huge wave came crashing down, taking out a lot of the other gems. And out came the crystal gems and lapis. Lapis lazuli? Stevani heard Yellow Diamond whisper under her breath. Then war it is we declare, she said after a few moments. Then all the gems started going after the crystal gems. Stephen! Connie! Take out the homeworld gems! Stevani heard one of the crystal gems yell. Nodding, she started slashing her sword left and right, destroying gems by the moment. Lapis faced Yellow Diamond as she giggled slightly. Ha, Lapis Lazuli, I remember you finally facing us, aren't you? She said evilly. Lapis squinted. You ruined everything! Lapis said angrily, using the surrounding ocean to try and hit the diamond, but she swiftly blocked it. What the? Lapis hesitated before Yellow Diamond thrusted her fist into her own face. You puny gem! You think you can defeat me? She said in a demonic voice as Stevani swiftly swiped a sword in front of her as she stopped right before Lapis. Wait, Steven, stop! Lapis shouted, but Stevani stared at Yellow Diamond. Stop this! Stop this! She said angrily. Foam. She said angrily as the fighting and screaming continued on. Okay. She said as the fighting and screaming continued on in the background as the gems started to move closer to the town. Yellow Diamond giggled slightly before withdrawing her weapon, which was a long-bladed yellow sword. Well then, let's just see about that, she said as she launched at Stevani with the blade and they started dueling. You won't defeat me, she said in a demonic voice. Steven, stop! Lapis shouted at Yellow Diamond as Yellow Diamond shoved her away. Her eyes starting to become more and more red as Stevani fought back. Stevani slipped slightly on a rock that was in the sand, creating an opening for as she slashed Stevani's eye deeply. As she stabbed her sword into Stevani's eye deeply. Stevani screamed in pain as the eye started to continuously bleed, Yellow Diamond laughing hysterically. Pain is hilarious, isn't it? She yelled as... Oh. Fucking Bill. She yelled as they fought back, Yellow Diamond overpowering the both of them until Stevani fell onto the ground as Yellow Diamond held the sword directly above her throat. Say farewell, Yellow Diamond said as she laughed and Stevani smiled. How about goodbye? Stevani said as she grasped the sword with her feet, inserting it directly through Yellow Diamond, the other end of the blade coming out through her chest. She started to laugh as she looked at the blade, her entire body poofed away, Stevani catching the gem in her hand. Looking back upon the battlefield, most of the gems were fleeing as the crystal gems had destroyed most of them. Running over to them, okay. Fucking feel, fucking warning, fucking stay, fucking calm. Okay. I am Garnet. No emotion. No feeling. Don't fucking cry. Okay. Running over to them overjoyed, Stevani handed Garnet the gem after the rest of the homeward gems fled. We did it! Amethyst shouted happily, dancing around as Garnet crushed the gem into pieces. Oh my gosh, Steven, you were so brave! Pearl shouted happily as she hugged the fusion. Hey, it wasn't all me, she said, starting to sound weaker. Good job, kiddo, Garnet said, sounding exhausted. Lapis smiled happily as Steven slipped down. Oh yeah, Garnet crushed the gem, by the way. Said, looking exhausted. Lapis smiled happily as Stevani slipped onto the ground and Lion walked over. Your eye looks bad, Amethyst said as Stevani smiled slightly, looking like she was in pain. Are you okay? She said in fear as she started to flash white. Tears started streaming out of her eyes. Okay. Stephen and Connie unfused as Stephen collapsed onto the ground, clutching his chest and crying in pain. Stephen! Everyone shouted in shock as Lion lay down on the ground and Connie helped Stephen lean on him. Stephen, what's wrong? Connie cried in fear as all the gems gathered around him. Stephen opened one eye slowly to see Connie's face. Her right eye was missing and blood was pouring out onto her face. Guys, Stephen said, his voice full of agony. Oh no! Stephen! Pearl yelled as tears streamed out of her eyes after observing his gem. Stephen, please no! Connie cried as Stephen pulled her closer. Stephen, you can't die! I love you! Connie said as Connie cried as Stephen smiled slightly, brushing his hand over her face. "Oh, Stephen," Amethyst said as she tried to hide her face from the tears that were pouring out of her eyes. I, Stephen said weakly as he stared into Connie's eyes as his started to close. "I love you too," he managed to say as he brought his mouth up to hers, kissing her before letting out one last breath before his eyes closed. Slowly releasing her mouth from his, tears streamed down Connie's face as she brushed his cheek slightly before she couldn't help but started bawling on his chest as all the gems were also crying, and they all were hugging each other tightly as Connie cried over Stephen's ever so calm and peaceful body. The end. Ronaldo stood silently on the hill, overlooking Beach City silently. The wind blew softly. A few tears dripped down his face as he sighed. "Thank you, Stephen, for risking your life for all these people and me. You are forever in my debt." Scene change. Sadie laid her head down on the table in the back room while Lars sat next to her. Tears streamed down her face as Lars slowly slid his hand on top of Sadie's as she looked up at him. Lars took his hand away from his face, showing his face filled with tears. I'm sorry," he whispered before closing his eyes again, tears falling quickly. Scene change. Greg stared silently at the corner of his van in agony. "I didn't even get to say goodbye," he mumbled to himself between his cries as he slowly strummed his guitar and started quietly singing the words of Stephen's song. "We are the crystal gems." Scene change. Lapis placed a cup of water on the ground in front of Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet as she sat on the ground and started to play with the water until a water-formed Stephen jumped out of the cup and started dancing. All the gems had tears streaming down their faces as Lapis started to silently sing Giant Woman. "All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman." Scene change. Connie leaned against Lion as she fidgeted with the eye patch on her eye, which hid the emptiness behind it, before looking back down at the book that was in her hands. Then, Rosie sat down beside Chris, and then slowly leaned over to her ear and whispered, "You're a long way from home, aren't you?" she read aloud. They glanced back up at the cross that had a star drawn on in the middle of it, with the name Steven Universe engraved on the wood. As tears fell from her only eye, she continued reading. "Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I will always love you."